Same chord, same guitar, but one sounds alive and the other sounds like a robot. So today I'm going to show you every single acoustic guitar dynamic that separates beginners from the players who usually or actually sound musical. By the end of this video, you won't just play chords, but you'll control emotions. This is Aryan from 6 String Success. So let's start with the basics. What are dynamics? Dynamics are basically how you control the volume, the intensity, the expression, and the aggression in your playing. It's not about what you play, it's just about how you play it. Most beginners play everything at the same level, and that's exactly why it all sounds flat. Now let's test the dynamics by using the aggression like soft, medium, and aggressive. So let's use the same chord progression we used at the starting: A minor, C, F, and G. Normal open chords. So let's start with soft. Next up, medium. Play this slightly louder. And next up might be my most favorite one, aggressive. This is used in many heavy rock songs and heavy ballads. Now play this slightly louder than medium, but with ferocity on the strings. So next up, let's start with your picking hand. This is where the dynamics really begin. So there are two types of picking, light picking and hard picking. Light picking, you play with a very soft tone, and hard picking gives a very bright and aggressive tone like many rock songs. So the type of picking you use depends largely on the song. So let's end this and start with how you pick each, the light picking and the hard picking. So let's start with the light picking. For light picking, let's take the song as Hotel California, which uses a very light tone. So let's just start with one open chord. This is the B minor chord. Let's do a light down up strumming pattern on this. And then shift to F sharp. Now this is how you use light picking tones for places like the verses and the bridges. So let's do it lightly once again. Now an important thing to remember while using light picking tone is always keep the pick very loose in your hand, and instead of moving your elbow completely, focus on bending your wrist a little more. That gives you more leverage and a little less attack on the strings. Now let's do on the hard picking, which gives the bright and aggressive tone. So let's take the song Summer of '69, which has a very simple chord progression: B minor, A, G, and D. So this song uses very hard picking since it's an electric guitar, but I'm going to show it to you on acoustic. Let's start with the B, then switch to A, then G, then D. So this chord progression is mainly used in the chorus of the song, and most of the choruses are usually used to catch the attention of the viewer. So this uses a very hard tone. So let's strike the strings a little more harder than what we did before. So let's do a strumming pattern of down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So let's start with B minor. That was an example for hard picking. So try this. Pick one string and go soft, loud, soft, loud. So let's start with the 6 strings. Let's go soft, loud, soft, loud, soft, loud, soft, loud. Now after you've mastered this in each string, try doing it alternate. Soft, loud, soft, loud, soft, loud. If you want to impress some viewers, maybe add a little bit of a G chord in there. So try this picking exercise slowly, and then once you've mastered it, slowly increase the speed. So our next session is called Strumming Dynamics. This is a very big one. If you fix this, your playing instantly levels up. So let's start with a very flat strumming demo. Let's do a down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up on a G chord. In this, you can see that almost everything sounds the same and that the person can't distinguish between the different sounds. So now let's do a chord progression and add accents and a little bit of variation. So let's start with the G, then D, then E minor, then B minor. And let's do a down, down, up, down strumming pattern. So let's do the down, down, up very softly. And when we reach the up, down, slightly increase the amplitude. Let's go like this. So there are three main things I used in this. First one is accents, which emphasizes certain beats. And second one, if you notice carefully, I'm not hitting every single one of the strings at the same time. This is a very important thing which I recommend you all note down right at this moment. And the third one is changing the intensity in the middle of my playing. So you notice when I'm doing down, down, up, it's soft. And when I did up, down, I slightly increased my attack on the strings, which leads to the sound becoming higher. So try this strumming pattern, down, up, but make the downstrokes a little more stronger. So let's start with the G chord. Now the tune has grooves, and that is what you call strumming dynamics. So this next section is for all of my rock and heavy metal fans out there. It's called palm muting. Yeah. Next up, palm muting. So this is how you control the tightness and energy of the song. So there are again two types of palm muting. First is soft and controlled, and the second soft and controlled is known as light palm mute, and the second is known as heavy palm mute, which is a little tight and punchy, used in heavy metal songs, while the light palm mute is used in rock songs. So let's start with the verse of a simple song. Let's start with the intro of Living on a Prayer, which uses palm muting on every single note. This is known as light palm muting. Now up for heavy palm muting. So for heavy palm muting, let's take the example of Wherever I May Roam by Metallica. Here's how it goes. That is an example of heavy palm muting. So, if you apply these palm muting cases to your songs, you'll get instant contrast and instant dynamics and very good crowd attention. So, next up is for all those freestyle guitarists out there. Section 5 is Percussive Dynamics. This is where your acoustic guitar becomes a full rhythm instrument. So, here are the techniques. For now, just drop your pick. Not use your pick, just drop it. So, you're only going to use your fingers, only your right hand fingers and your wrist. So let's start with the first technique. It's known as a thumb slap. You use this part of your thumb to slap the higher strings. This is used in songs like Memories, like this. That is known as a thumb slap. The next one is a string hit, which is also known as a string mute. For example, when you're doing very fast flamenco progressions, you want to mute it. You do this. That is known as a string hit. So this is how it sounds like. That is known as a string hit. And the second one is also my most favorite one. It's known as the body tap. So you hit this part of your guitar with your wrist. So example, when you're in the middle of a song, like in the middle of a song, you feel like it sounds too plain and you want to add a little more bass. You can use body tap. You hit the body of your guitar, any part, but this part gives the most hollow sound. You hit that part with your wrist. This can be used in many genres, and I often see that it is mainly used by guitarists who play in jazz bands or pop bands. So now you're not just playing the chords, you're also creating its rhythm. Our next section is known as Fingerstyle Dynamics. Again, drop your pick. If you play fingerstyle, dynamics become even more powerful. So, there are two main things for the fingerstyle. Your thumb is mainly used as your bass, and your other fingers are used as your melody. Thumb as bass and fingers as melody. So, for the demo, let's try two types. The first is flat fingerstyle, and then I'll try bringing out the melody notes. So, let's try the flat fingerstyle. Just a normal finger picking pattern which sounds the same everywhere. Now, let's bring out the melody notes, and I'll try making the melody louder than everything else. So for this, let's use a simple song known as Let Her Go by Passenger. So this is how you make the melody louder than everything else and apply fingerstyle dynamics to a song. So try this. Play a pattern at your home and focus on making any one note of the pattern stand out individually in turns. This helps a lot. Next up is accents and grooves. So let me just start by telling that not every note should be equal. That's the main secret to grooving. So there are two types of grooving: the straight rhythm and then accent beats as 2 and 4. So let's start with a simple power chord known as A5. So now let's just play down, 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 down in a 1 by 8 tempo for this without any grooves or accents. Here's how it sounds. That's how it sounds. Now let's add accent beats on the 2 and 4. So it's like, so let's play it once more. Now it clearly feels like music instead of just using music as a metronome. Next up is spaces. Now this, my friends, is a very underrated but powerful technique. So let me just play a normal thing without any gaps in between. Let's see how it sounds. Now those of you who know the song, good job. But for those of you who don't, it's Enter Sandman by Metallica. Be sure to check it out. It's awesome. So if you see, I just played continuously. And those of you who know the song would most likely hear it like this. So what happens is, when you don't leave gaps in between, the notes don't ring out properly and you don't get the proper feel of the notes, especially when you're connected to an amplifier. And people will think that you're just a person who plays guitar just for the sake of it. So sometimes what you don't play can also be called the dynamics. Next one is volume swell. Now, I know this is more popular in electric guitar, but if most of you don't know, there's also a way to do it on the acoustic guitar. So you can use this for a more emotional sound. So what happens in this is, there's a gradual increase in the picking in intensity. This creates a rising and very emotional and uh, action and action kind of feel. So again, let's do this with a simple power chord. A5 again. I'm going to start slowly and then gradually increase the attack I give on the strings. Here's how it sounds. This is mainly used before most of the solos. You play the E minor chord and then you palm mute and play. Sorry, got carried away. This creates a very ringing and emotional feel. Next is known as chord voicing dynamics. So the main thing about this is you don't always have to strum all the six strings or all the designated strings to play a full chord. So let's start with a full C major chord and then slowly strum 7 times on the partial chord, which is the top strings of the chord. Here's how it sounds. So highlighting certain strings in a chord also changes its entire feel. So the next one is tempo plus feel. Dynamics aren't just volume, they're also about how you make other people feel about your playing. So there are two types, the slightly slower emotional playing and the slightly pushed energetical playing. These small changes that you use in your playing will make a very big impact. So you start with a very normal fingerstyle pattern for the slower emotional playing. And then as you gradually go into the song, you slowly develop into chord progressions. So these small changes can cause a very big impact. So, so now it's the full application. Let's put everything together. So let's do the same progression: A minor, F, C, G. So first you just start with the flat version. Strumming Dynamics. Accents. Palm muting. Percussive hits. Now, that is the combination of everything. Now, before we end the video, I just want to point out at a few common mistakes that every player does wrong. So, here's what most players do wrong. Firstly, they play everything at the same volume. They overplay. They do too many hits in one note. They ignore your main right hand control and they only focus on chords. Remember, music is the feel, it's not just the shapes. So, if you want to sound better instantly, don't learn more chords. Master dynamics. Take one progression and apply at least 3 of these techniques right now, today. So, comment below which dynamic changed your playing the most. And if you want to take your guitar playing to the next level, make sure you subscribe to 6 String Success, where strings speak. This is Aryan signing off. Keep jamming.